As America marks the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, experts believe more people have now lost their lives from health problems connected to the attacks than on September 11th itself. There are more than 100 health conditions associated with 9/11 survivors, and first responders are the hardest hit. Elon Moy has the story of one New York City police officer.
At that time, I wasn't thinking about protective equipment. My mind was we were invaded, we were in an act of war. So my concern about my health was way down on the list of concerns.
On the day of the attacks, former NYPD Sergeant Tom Wilson helped stunned survivors covered in dust cross the Williamsburg Bridge. Afterward, he spent months working on the pile. That's when he started getting severe conjunctivitis, and he was coughing a lot.
I never smoked a cigarette in my life, and now I'm coughing up phlegm 10, 15, 20 times a day. I would get constant pneumonia, so that's when I got really concerned. And then, of course, in 2008 with my tongue cancer diagnosis, that just knocked me on my ass. At the hospital, I had a very young daughter, newborn, and she had to breastfeed up there in the waiting room while I was in the hospital. I had a tracheotomy. I had to be fed through a slushy liquid through my nose, through a tube. So it was pretty devastating. I have 5 kids.
Roughly 1,800 names are etched into the 60-foot granite wall at the 9/11 Responders Remembered Memorial Park in Long Island. It's dedicated to those who died of illness after the terrorist attacks. Wilson knows many of the names.
He retired and then he died of blood cancer 2 weeks later.
But what pains him the most is not the sacrifice they made or his own ailments. It's his memory of the pile.
So I often think back, and it haunts me of what I probably missed. And now there's remains there at a landfill. That's the final resting place of these heroic people that just went to work that day, ordinary people, or the heroic first responders who responded, and they've never been recovered.
Talking can be physically difficult for Wilson, but it's also therapeutic, and he's hoping that his story will help other people suffering from 9/11 health conditions to know that they are not alone and they have someone to reach out to. Guys.
You know, I think no one at the time knew the health risk that the first responders or anyone in the neighborhood was eventually going to have to confront. What are some of the principal ailments that people have either suffered or died from?
Yeah, so the most common ailment is inflammation of the lining of the nose and of the sinuses. Gastric reflux is the second most common, but cancer, like Tom Wilson's suffering from, is the number 3 ailment. 14,000 first responders were diagnosed with cancer, as according to a 2010 law that requires them to be monitored. So this is an issue that is ongoing within the 9/11 community, and now that they're aging, some of the conditions that we normally associate with people getting older are exacerbated in the community because of the things that they've been exposed to.
And the cancers are obviously then tracking much higher in this group. It's not, and it's absolutely traceable to what these individuals experienced on 9/11 and in the weeks and months afterward.
Yeah, in order to be covered by the 2010 law, they have to be able to show that there is this exposure to the 9/11 events and to the 9/11 debris and dust, et cetera. So these are things that are connected back to what they experienced on that day.
All right, Elon Moy, thank you very much.